Okay, everyone, this training session is for project requesters and CloudWords. Hoping everyone had a chance to go on Rockant and view the training videos that are relevant to project requester, but I'll basically be covering everything that those videos covered. So let me share my desktop. And I hear just a little bit of background noise. If everyone can maybe go on mute, that'd be great. But if you have any questions, please jump in as soon as you have questions. Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is the view that a project requester would have. So this is the home page when your account is set up and you log into CloudWords for the first time. This is basically the screen that you will be presented with. So what we start you off with is the Home tab. The Home tab describes a number of things here. We have an ability to move between departments. So there will be various departments in Agilent's account, and they will be broken out by product lines. And you also have discussions. So these are discussions that are happening with the projects that you are working on. So if you click through to any of these discussions, these are communications that are happening. I'm not sure why that happened, but these would be communications that are happening within projects that you have requested. There would also be here projects that you've already requested. So these are the open projects that you might have requested, and they're waiting for evaluation from your localization coordinator. And those that have actually been accepted and are being worked on would be here. And then all open projects you can see is stated here. So those underway in translation, those in review. And then there's an activity feed that shows you chronologically what is happening with the projects that you've requested. So you can see who is saying what actions, what tasks are being completed with this project. So that's just a general overview of the Home tab. The most important part for you and what's most
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Question?
I'm sorry, I have a question. I just wanted to ask, I wanted to ask if we are able to view, that means all the projects that are pending, not just only our own, or is it just our own?
It actually is just your own.
Oh, okay.
Now you could, yeah, all of these projects are going to be the projects that you are associated with. These would not be all projects.
Okay.
And that's specifically for the project requester view.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Eileen, did that answer your question, or did you have another question or comment about that?
Yes, that did answer my question. I guess the reason why I asked was I wanted an overview of all the projects that were being carried out for Korea, but I suppose we can discuss that later. Yep, thank you.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Yunju, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to mute you just because there's a little bit of background noise here. But if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask questions.
Hi, everybody online, can you put yourself on mute? Can you mute your phone because there's a lot of feedback? Thank you.
All right. I just muted Kyungmin and Yunju. I just muted you. But if you have any questions, please. Where's that coming from? Oh, you know what? That might be you, Youngjin.
Hello?
Hi, Youngjin. Who is
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting a lot of background noise.
Yeah, so we can't hear clearly now. So.
Yeah, I muted two participants to try to reduce the background noise. I thought, I can see who's talking, but right now it seems like it's okay. Let me continue, but because I muted Yunju and Kyungmin Kim, then they can unmute themselves to ask a question. I just want, for now, to mute it. Do you want to maybe communicate that to them, or was that pretty clear? All right, let me just move on. So, sorry, I'm on the wrong page here. So, I'm back as a requester here, and my requester, his name is QPOC. So Q, when he's ready to request a translation, presses the Request Translations button, and this launches the translation request page. So to begin your translation request, you decide which product line your translation request is associated with, and you provide a name of your request. This could be the name of the project. You can input notes and instructions to your localization coordinator about this project. So this is your field to communicate anything you'd like to say about the project here, so whatever that might be. Translation due date. When would you ideally like to have your translation back by? If a PO is applicable, then you can enter a purchase order number. That's optional. What is your source language? What is your target language? Or languages. If there's multiple languages, you can add multiple languages. And then you can either upload a zip file of your source material, or you can add a link to the source material. So maybe your source material resides on eLibrary or some other repository. You can add a link. So the way that we're going to do it is upload a zip file. So you select upload. If you have the source content, you select upload a zip file. Press upload. And what's very important here is the file needs to be a zipped file. So it needs to be a compressed file, zipped folder. If you have multiple files, you'll want to put them in a folder and zip them up. And you upload it. The other option, just so you can see as an example, to add a link, maybe it's a link to whatever that might be. That's just, I just made up a link here, but perhaps you want to let your localization coordinator know this is where my source content is at. But for our example purposes, I'm going to use this file that we've uploaded. You can also attach project reference material. So this would be any files, any content that you want to provide to the vendor that maybe gives some context on the translation but is not being translated. So this is just reference material. And then finally, you decide who do you want to send the project to, your project request to. So maybe this will be Youngjin, or Youngjin, I'm not sure if everyone might be sending this to Carmen at some point, at least in the beginning, but I have you as an example to begin with. And you press submit. So once you're done with submitting the project, you should look for an email response from your localization coordinator letting you know what the status of this request is. So that was everything that a requester would do in terms of submitting the project. Are there any questions about that? And I'm going to take you off of mute just in case. Oops, that's not good. Sorry. I put you guys back on mute because there's some severe background noise, but please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. No questions? Okay.
Yeah, I have an additional comment to make.
Okay. Yes, please do.
I think they don't have a link to the eLibrary, so I'll send a separate email with the link to them. within this week or within next week. I mean.
Okay.
So
okay.
that way they can provide link to the vendor. Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Youngjin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to very quickly show you what the localization coordinator does so that you'll be able to see the outcome of a project request. So what happens is Youngjin receives an email. So I'm now switching over to my demo inbox that has the communications that come from these demonstrations. And this email would be sent to Youngjin, letting him know that QPOC just submitted a translation request, and he is able to go. Now, I'm not going to. You would be able to click through and go directly to it, but I'm actually signed in another browser to Youngjin's account, so you can see. He would be able to go and look for the request. And the request I just inputted was this one. So these are all the details that I just inputted as QPOC, requester, QPOC. And he evaluates, okay, this project, we will go ahead and create it. So if he creates it, then he selects the language and creates the project. And so he's able to, again, this is what Youngjin would do. This is not what you would do, but I just want to show you when the project is submitted, then a notification will be sent to you. Okay, so you see that this email now comes through because acting as Youngjin, I submitted the project, and now CloudWords sends you an auto email letting you know that your project has been approved. And you don't have to do anything. This is just to let you know that your project is underway. The translation is underway. You could log in and look at the project at any point. And look at the actual project. But for all intents and purposes, you don't have to worry about anything at this point.
So my question is, because I believe for Korea, Youngjin will be submitting some of the requests. So does he go in and approve his own project? How does that work?
No, that's a great question. I don't want to confuse the other requesters on the line because they would never really see this. But as an example, Youngjin actually has his own ability to immediately start a new project. So he has the button here, and he inputs his own details, right? So you saw from the request, all of this, most of this was pre-inputted because we're drawing directly from the project request.
Okay. Okay.
So very quickly, just so I can also show you what a rejected request looks like. So I'll go to some of these requests that are already in progress here. Let's see. So this is another request, and let's say though that Youngjin rejects it for whatever reason. Let's say so just as an example, Youngjin would be able to input the reason for the rejection. So that project request is rejected. And then what happens is you are notified. You're notified by email. So you see this email would be sent to you letting you know that the project was rejected, and the reason would be here. This is the reason that I just completed, acting as Youngjin.
I mean, I want everyone to understand that this is for the convenience of explanation. I think I'm not acting this will actually until here, Carmen, you know, as Carmen's call. So I'll come in later. I mean, I'll come in when the vendor finished the translation and they send the translated version. That's when I come in. We actually did, you know, trial. So according to the trials, I come in later.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Youngjin. I wasn't clear as to necessarily who is going to be fielding the project request. So if it's Carmen Aviles, then Carmen will. This will be Carmen's reason submitted by Carmen. Whoever it is that approves or rejects the project request.
Yeah. Okay.
I noticed when, sorry, just to ask another question. I noticed that when BAPS forwarded a list of roles, there were some that were sort of translators and approvers. Are they all within the system or outside of the system? Because usually we would check with the local field at first whether that was relevant. So is that part of the system within the CloudWorks or outside of that?
From what you're describing, I don't believe so. No, this is only to request a project that content be translated, and then the process of accepting or rejecting it. And of course, if it's accepted, then the entire translation workflow from translation through review to finally accepting the translations and having the project close in a single system.
Okay, so then, okay, so the additional approvers that would be outside of the system.
From what you're describing, yeah, I believe it is outside the system. Yes.
Okay.
So another thing I wanted to show you, because as the translation project is underway, so I'll show you the project that's underway. I'm sorry. Let's see. So you would see the projects that are actually in translation. These are your projects. I'll click through one project that's in translation. So this is the project level view. Again, I don't believe most project requesters have an active role as the translations are being managed. But just to show you what the project view, just to describe it, this is the project title. We start you off on an overview tab, status of the project. There's the project details that were originally entered, the source files that were uploaded. The translations is an important tab for you because this is where you will come in and download your translations when they're ready. As well as, so the workflow is managed in the task area. I don't think you have a role in the tasks, but you could, in the discussions tab, you can initiate a discussion with everyone that's on this project. So if you want to start a discussion, instead of emailing all the individuals, we recommend as a best practice that you communicate within the project. So to do that, you can go to the discussions tab and start a new discussion about this project. And you can select who should receive email notifications about this discussion. So maybe I want to send Youngjin, and I want, you know, the reviewer, Q Chai, to also be here. and then whatever that is. So you can title the discussion, begin with your first message. You could attach a file if that's relevant, but then you submit. And now what I'll show you is it triggers an email. So you see, so for example, because we copied Youngjin, he gets the message and he can log in and respond to that discussion. You can see we also have one that was sent to Q Chai. Does that make sense on how to have to begin a discussion and have a conversation in the application? Is that clear? No questions? Okay. So what I want to show you now, this email will be most important to you when your translations are ready. So perhaps Youngjin or Carmen will send you a message, just like I showed you in a discussion, but you will ultimately know when all of the languages have been approved, so all languages have been approved for, and this is my project name, Alter Ego Project, then this lets you know that you can go to the deliverables page, and it takes you to the translations tab, and you can download the translations. So for your language, you can download the translations, and you will have your deliverables. Or it's possible that Youngjin or Carmen will send you a message letting you know that you should go to get your translations from eLibrary. So in that scenario, Youngjin would actually be in the project, and he'll say, as an example, he can send a message letting you know instead don't grab the translations directly from the project. Agilent would prefer that you grab your translations from eLibrary, and then you would receive a message letting you know here, please download your translations from here. So two ways you can do it. You could possibly get your translations directly from, again, the translations tab. This is closed. So directly from your language, or you would get a message letting you know you should go and download your translations from another area. That might vary. So the final thing that I want to show everyone is that if you encounter any difficulties with the application, then you may want to file a help desk ticket, a trouble ticket. To do that, you'll go to the Help Center, and you will go to Submit a Request. And please title the request, start to describe what difficulties you're having. And what is always helpful is if you can let us know what browser and browser version you are using. So what internet browser and browser version you are on. and you would also select customer as your user type. And what's also very helpful is if you can attach a screenshot of the problem that you are experiencing, and then submit this to our support team, and we will respond. So that is how you would submit a help desk, a trouble ticket. Are there any questions about that?
I have one question. So as far as I remember, the logon information, ID and password already sent to the user quite times a few months ago. But for me, it didn't work for me. So I replied to the email center, the logon issue, but so far I haven't any reply. So who is the right contact for in encountering a login issue for CloudWorld?
I would be your best resource. So I am Agilent's Customer Success Manager. So I can help at least be the first point of contact for any issues that you might be experiencing. Now, there's a team of people that are monitoring the support page, so I would recommend first trying to go through CloudWorld support, or you can go through support and also email me. If it's a comment or suggestion or concern with the application just on how it works or process, and it's not necessarily a bug or an issue with the application, then you should direct your comments and questions through Yongjin, and he will pass that along to either me or Carmen, but ultimately that will come back to me. Does that answer? Okay, great.
Okay, if you have logon issues, please send me an email so I can, solve it.
Right,
you can
yeah.
send an email to Jeff or NGO.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
The last thing I want to show everyone is that under the settings drop-down, you also have, under My Account, you can set certain things here. So you can set, most importantly, your preferences. You'll want to be able to set your time zone and your calendar and number format. So for most everyone on this call, it will be and save this. It's possible that when your user is created that Carmen will already do this for you, but I would double check that your preferences are set for your local time zone, your preferred calendar and number format. The other thing to call out is under notifications, because CloudWords is 100% email based, then we give you some options on whether you want to receive these types of notifications. Yes, I want them, or no, I do not want them. So I don't want to. This is the default setting. You can come in and edit this and say, okay, maybe I don't want an email when the project is closed. Or actually, maybe I do want it. So these are the notifications that you can decide whether you do or do not want them. But I would recommend leaving it as it is when you first get your access, and so you can see which notifications you do or do not want over time. So I would not change this immediately. I would wait, at least probably a few weeks or a month or two. So that's everything that I wanted to cover on this training session. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I mean, Unju wanting to know that when she wanted to know the status of entire ongoing project, so where to look at, she wants to. Can you explain?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good question. So you can see in your activity feed the things that are happening with that project. If you want to go to a specific project, there's a couple ways you can get to it. You could go back to the email and click through to the project and look at the status. So there's a project status, and you'll see the status of the individual languages. Or another way to find it is if you see it in your activity feed, then you can click through directly to the project. That's another way to navigate to the project. In this example, the project is in review, so there are deliverables that need to be reviewed. And yet another way to find your project is under the Projects tab, have all the projects that are underway translation, and you can see, you know, multiple projects that you had requested and the status of those projects, or you can click through to that project and get more details. And the final way, if you're not finding your project easily, you can also use the Search Projects button here to look for your specific project. So maybe you want to find it by name or by language, and it will show you the specific project. So there's different facets that you can use to find your project. So this is the search function. And just remember that you'll want to either find all projects, or if you want to go to a specific product line and find the product. So example, genomics, there's no projects in that department. All my projects are in mass chromatography. And then something else that, now that we're over here, I just remembered, you can see your pending project requests here. So you can click through and look at all of your pending project requests. And you can also filter which ones have been rejected. These have all been rejected. Which ones are open? And which ones have been accepted? So any number of ways you can filter your project requests. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, everyone. Well, if that's it, we can conclude the training session. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.
Have a great day, too.
You too.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.